Well, and we're off. We are halfway through our term, and we are off to the second half starting today. Believe it or not, it is flying by. I hope that you are feeling energized and encouraged and challenged. You know, it's so interesting. I just finished a course at Chico State. I think I've mentioned that, Test and Measurements in Career and Life Planning, career counseling. And I've just started a program through edX. I don't know if you're familiar with edX, but it's a professional certificate program, and the title of the program that I'm completing through University of California at Berkeley is The Science of Happiness at Work. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching his videos. It's an online thing through edX, as I mentioned, and I'm like, wait a second, that sounds really familiar. And so we're looking at Steiger research, and we're looking at work and meaning, and we're looking at calling. And these are things that we're actually going to be going over, have been going over, and will be going over even this week in this unit. So really great articles. You'll probably be seeing some emails pop up here and again where I'll be sharing some of the documents that I found. In fact, I've got a couple of things. Just looking at these articles over on my desk, one of them is called the business case for happiness, and then one is called happiness at work, and then looking at meaning and calling. One of the age-old questions that we're asking, especially as we get into work and meaning this week, right? So we're going to do the discussion. So meaning and the seemingly meaningless. It's a really important discussion, because the question that's being asked is work in and of itself meaningful? Or, and this is where the important question comes in, do we, or I guess we could say, can we bring meaning into work? In what I would even argue is sometimes what seems to be meaningless work. Can I bring meaning into meaningless work? You know, one of the greatest examples, in fact, I was just texting with a friend, have this couple friend, and the wife is a faculty colleague of mine, and the husband is a real close friend of mine, and they moved to the area several years ago, and our family got to know their family really well, and we do dinners together and just have a great time and conversation. And they told me this story, and I've used it many times, and my colleague has used it in her classroom as well. It's my friend, as he was working from home. He's a creative, artistic designer person, individual, and he has his own business and worked from home for a while. And when he was working from home, his youngest child, I guess his oldest child now, was their only child at the time, was super young, and every time the trash truck would drive by their home, their child would run up to the window and just kind of, peer over the windowsill and just wanted to see this trash truck every single day. And he said it was really amazing because it seemed like this trash truck drove by our house multiple times per week. And so he was thinking, wow, this is amazing. They keep, their city really clean. And finally, this look of joy on his son's face as he would run up to the windowsill every single time the truck drives by. My friend actually, eventually picked up his son. They walked outside while the trash truck driver was paused, to empty a receptacle into the trash truck. And he said, excuse me, I have to ask you, my son, every time you drive by our house, is just so full of joy. He's just elated and so excited that this trash truck is driving by our home. He says, that seems a little odd to me because, you're picking up, other people's trash, literally picking up their trash and putting it in a trash truck and taking it to be disposed of. He says, but is this normal? Like, is my son the only one? And he says, oh, no, not at all. Every single street has at least one child like yours that gets excited as the trash truck drives by. And I love that story. Because it tells me that you can find meaning in seemingly, and I would say this, meaningless work. Or there's another story. We're not reading the book. I think it's a suggested text on your syllabus. But if you look, it's called Make Your Job a Calling by Brian Dick and Ryan Duffy. So two faculty members, one at University of Florida and the other at Colorado State University. And they tell a story. In fact, if you Google, in fact, maybe I'll even put it in the video here. If you look up, I think it's Brian Dick has done a number of talks, but he gave a TED Talk. And he actually talks about this story in his TED Talk. But basically, he tells the story about this individual who was, you've seen him on the freeways, this flying zipper, sign flipper, right? The person that turns it from saying slow to stop, slow to stop, slow to stop. So he lives in Colorado, and so if you know anything about the Colorado landscape, it's this Interstate 25 goes up just straight up the middle of the state. So he tells a story of Interstate 25, I think is what it was. There's a bunch of construction going on, as if you know anything from the Colorado Springs to really Fort Collins, this stretch of freeway, there's always construction of some sort going on there. He tells the story about these cars that are driving up the interstate, and they're stopped because there's construction, and the sign flipper is out there, and he's got a sign on stop, and it's 2 cars behind. And he's telling the story, and I think I'm going to recount this correctly. If not, you'll get the gist of it. And one of them leans out the window of the car and says, "Man, you must really just be so sick of this job. I mean, what a lousy job." And essentially, he didn't say those exact words, but that's the idea. And the sign flipper looks at him and goes, "Oh, no, I love my job." Goes, "You love your job?" He says, "Oh yeah, this is an incredibly important job. Because if I don't flip this sign correctly, accidents take place and potentially lives could be lost." And so this individual, this reached his head out the window, and he's talking to this sign flipper. His mind's kind of blown, or he's in this sense of awe, as even I was watching the videos in my class today. Wow, here's an individual that's, we might look at it and go, all he's doing, right, this idea of he's just, put in quotation, he's just flipping a sign, and yet he sees his work as being the most important job, something that he loves doing because he's, as he sees it, saving lives by causing accidents to not happen. So I'm really interested to see where you go with this. I'm really interested to see where you kind of take your discussion with can we bring meaning to meaningless work? So you've been asking some questions over the term as well, and I want to get to some of those questions, give you some answers. So I'm not going to do that in this video because I want you not to be overwhelmed with all sorts of my talking, but we will look at that here shortly, and I'll give you some responses to some of the questions that you have. So we've got a discussion in can we bring meaning to meaningless work, or is a work in and of itself meaningful? We have discussion, 3, 2, 1 wrap up, and then you have the work and meaning inventory and the career development striving exercise. So this was brought to my attention. I guess there was a system issue with these 2 assessments, and so if you tried to get them over the weekend or earlier this morning, I think probably prior to 9 or so this morning, you were not able to access them because they were still linking for some reason to the old learning management system, Sakai, which of course we no longer use now that we are fully in Canvas. So my apologies for that inconvenience. I'm not sure what the holdup there, why it hadn't been rerouted properly, but it's been remedied. And so if for some reason you still have issue with that, please let me know, because it's a much deeper issue. And unfortunately, a lot of times what you see on your end as the student, I'm not going to see on my end in the same way. And so it may seem like, what is this, why is this another issue? Well, it's just because I don't see the same things as you do, and so it's always helpful for you to bring those things to my attention. All right, so keep up the good work. It's been great so far. Your feedback has been really, really thoughtful. I'm looking over here because that's where the screen is. We've got a number of things that are coming up, so I want to remind you that we have due next unit, so Unit 6, we have our Tim Keller book review on Every Good Endeavor. I hope you're enjoying that book. It's absolutely one of my favorite texts. In fact, in church this past Sunday, we were talking about idolatry in the sermon, and our pastor kept referencing Tim Keller, and a friend of mine said, "Man, I got to read some more Tim Keller because you're a big fan," he was saying to me, and then Pastor Chris was talking about how he's really been influenced in his way of thinking about this topic of idolatry and so many other things. I've got to check out some more of his writings, and so actually this book is one that I'd given to this friend as well as Every Good Endeavor. So I hope you're enjoying that. It's really a thoughtful book. And then you have your vocation profile and plan, of course, that's due at the end of the term. And you have your organizational career development group project, which is also due at the end of the term as well. So you should have received an email late last week, I think it was on Friday, letting you know who your partner is. So there's 12 of you in this course, and so in those 12, you are going to be paired with one other person. Okay, so you're paired with one other person, meaning there are 6 groups. And so if you did not receive that email, please let me know, but you should have, and the email would have been titled Group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you'll work with them for the remainder of the term, and I will actually be posting another video here in a little bit to talk about that. Actually going to be in the assignment itself, so you'll see some content as far as what I'm looking for in that assignment. It's a really fun assignment. I hope you'll enjoy that. And again, if you have any questions, please do feel free to let me know. All right. So lots coming up. We've accomplished a lot already. I hope these assessments are really helpful, because one of the things that I want us to get at is not just how can you think differently about vocational calling, how can you help other people to think differently, but how can it actually take you through a process? Like literally, how can it make a difference in the way that you view work? If you can walk away with a personal kind of, man, that really affected how I think about work. That really, maybe even you might say that affected the trajectory of my career. Wow, that would be huge. Not say that's going to happen to everybody, but maybe, just maybe, there's an element of this course that's going to affect the decisions that you make in the coming days, weeks, months, and years ahead. Wouldn't that be fun to think that little class like this had such a large effect, and then of course to be able to help other people to do the same thing would be pretty amazing as well. So hope you're having a great week. Again, if I can help in any way, I'm always happy to do that. I want to support you as best as I can. I think there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of deep thinking here. I'm really grateful for your investment in this course, your attention to detail, and your willingness to just engage in the content. So thank you for that. Any questions, feel free to send me an email. And I think you found that I get back to you really, really quickly, and I will continue to do the same thing. All right. Have a great week 5. Watch for a couple of additional videos. One will be on this upcoming assignment. In fact, probably here's what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll post one video, but I'm going to talk about the vocational profile and plan as part of that video, and then I'll talk about the organizational career development group project at the same time. Okay, so watch for that, and then I'll also share probably just a really brief video, look at kind of the overarching questions that you're asking, and give you a couple answers to those things as well. All right, so have a great week. Thanks again for all you're doing. Really fun to participate and learn from you and with you, and hopefully be able to impart some wisdom as well on these really, really important topics. All right, we'll see you online.